On the day of my wedding, I was abducted by bandits and tortured to death. In my final moments, I saw my husband and my elder brother step out from behind the bandits, their faces twisted with disgust. Lu Yarrow, you have a heart of snakes and scorpions. For years you've bullied Shuera with your power. This is your retribution. You're so filthy and vicious. You don't deserve to be human. Lin Qianshue's eyes glistened with tears, her voice frail and mournful. Ayao, in your next life, do not be evil again. I died a brutal death on the outskirts, my face unrecognizable. While Lin Qianshue returned to the capital to become the true prime minister's wife, the strong wind howled. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at my 15th birthday feast. Lin Qianshue was tearing at her own dress, grinning triumphantly at me. Lu Yao, have you thought about how you'll explain this later? I kicked her into the pond and pressed her head under the water. You claim I bully you. I'll show you what real bullying is. The pain of my past death lashed at my heart like a whip, leaving me gasping for breath. When I opened my eyes once more, I saw the young, unformed face of Lin Qianshue. I had traveled back 4 years. We were alone. Lin Qianshue had already pulled out the jade hairpin my mother had given me, smashed it to pieces, torn the hem of her dress, and collapsed to the ground. Do you think Brother Ziyu will believe you or me later? A flash of calculation and triumph crossed her brows and eyes, then she burst into a dramatic flood of tears. Ayao, I didn't mean to smash your hairpin. Please spare me, it's my fault, please. I reached out, grabbed her hair, and slammed her face into the nearby rockery. Lin Qianshue, you say I bully you. Then let's make it real. What's tearing a dress? I might as well ruin this face of yours. Caught off guard, Lin Qianshue's face was scraped raw, blood streaming down her cheeks. A huge bump swelling on her temple. Lu Yao, you're crazy. Her eyes blazed with shock, clearly unprepared for my actions. Yes, I'm crazy, and you've messed with a crazy person. I sneered, my fists clenched tight. Today was my birthday feast, and Lin Qianshue had deliberately lured me to the garden alone. Soon, the guests passing by the garden would find Lin Qianshue sitting on the ground, crying and begging me for mercy. Then my elder brother Lu Ziyu would gently lift Lin Qianshue up and rebuke me for my unprovoked cruelty, for bullying a peer. No matter how I tried to explain, my brother would brand me with the crime in front of everyone. My reputation as a spoiled, arrogant shrew would spread from that day onward. Thinking of all that followed, I kicked Lin Qianshue in the stomach, sending her tumbling into the pond. The spring water in March was still bitterly cold. Lin Qianshue thrashed in panic in the water, her hair spreading out like seaweed, floating on the surface. Help! Save me! I stood on the bank, and ruthlessly pressed her emerging head back under the water. Lin Qianshue, who's going to save you? Don't forget, you're the one who tricked everyone else out of the garden. Lin Qianshue struggled even more violently in the water, her hands flailing wildly. Please, save me, beg me. My gaze was as cold as a blade. In my past life, I was naive and innocent, unaware of her motives. Later, I learned the truth. She was my father's illegitimate daughter with his mistress, hiding behind the false identity of a cousin, living in the Duke of Lu's mansion for years. Her countless schemes and frame-ups were not for any man. She resented my status, and wanted to steal everything from me, even my life. Now that I had a second chance, how could I let her succeed, judging by the time? My dear elder brother Lu Ziyu should be arriving at the garden with the guests any moment. I lifted my foot from Lin Qianshue's head, knelt down, and shouted anxiously at the top of my lungs, Shuer, grab my hand, hurry, I'll pull you up. The will to live made Lin Qianshue grab my hand at once, trying to leverage herself onto the bank, but the moment she clasped my hand, I let myself fall into the water too. The guests stepping into the garden saw me fall in just as it happened. Miss Lu has fallen into the water. Someone, quick, save her. Go inform the Duke and the Duchess at once. Chaos erupted. Hardly had I hit the water when a maid skilled in swimming pulled me out. The maid wrapped a thick cloak around me, as everyone's eyes fixed on me. Only 2 pairs of eyes turned to Lin Qianshue the instant they arrived. One was my elder brother Lu Ziyu, the other my past life husband Jiyu Jingcheng. Lin Qianshue was pulled ashore by the servants moments later. Her face was deathly pale, her lips bloodless, Her soaking wet hair matted over her face. "Shuer, how is Shuer?" Lu Ziyu hurried to Lin Qianxue's side, his brows etched with unhidden worry. The pond water had washed away the blood on Lin Qianxue's face, and all the color with it. She trembled violently. Barely able to speak, only weeping silently, Lu Ziyu ordered the servants to send Lin Qianxue back to her room to rest, and bade them fetch the mansion physician to attend to her. His eyes only saw the fragile Lin Qianxue, as if his own younger sister was invisible to him. Once, this would have grieved and disappointed me, but now it only filled me with revulsion. After giving his orders, Lu Ziyu finally turned to me, his eyes sharp with suspicion. "Ayao, how did Shuer fall into the water?" I took a handkerchief and dabbed at the corners of my eyes. "Shuer is so foolish. I merely said a few words to her, and she was so ashamed she jumped in the water. Saying she couldn't bear to live." "What did you say to her?" A towering rage surged in Lu Ziyu's eyes, crashing down on me. "Shuer is delicate and gentle. It's hard enough for her living under our roof as a guest. How could you speak to her so harshly? You are far too spoiled." In a few short words, Lu Ziyu branded me a criminal, calling me spoiled in front of everyone. He never once thought of me, how a brother publicly scolding his legitimate younger sister for being spoiled would ruin a young woman's reputation. "I," said to her. I bit my lip, as if hesitating for a long time. The circle of guests around me all stared in curiosity. The jade hairpin mother gave me is gone. I searched everywhere, and found Shuer had taken it to play with. When I caught her, she dropped and smashed it in a panic. I lost my temper and said a few words to her. Who could have thought she'd be so desperate as to try and kill herself? I tried to save her, but, by the end of my words, tears were streaming down my face. Slander and tears. This trick was not exclusive to Lin Qianxue. I would repay her in her own coin. The guests saw the shattered jade hairpin on the ground, and their faces dawned with realization. Taking someone's things without asking is nothing short of theft. Miss Lu is truly kind-hearted, even falling in the water trying to save her. How can there be such a shameless person? If it were me, I'd pay her no mind at all. Lu Ziyu's face stiffened as he listened. There must be a misunderstanding here. Do not jump to conclusions. I'll ask Shuer when she wakes up. I changed my clothes, tidied my makeup, and continued my birthday feast in all my splendor. Many noble young ladies, seeing I'd been frightened, gathered around to ask if I was well. I sighed. "I'm fine. But Shuer has always been frail." Someone asked curiously, "Who is this Miss Lin?" "We've never seen her before. She's the daughter of my father's cousin, staying with us for a while now." I lowered my eyes and explained, "Shuer will need to rest for some time. My brother will be so worried. You all saw it just now, how kind-hearted my brother is, how much he cares for Shuer." As soon as the words left my mouth, the young ladies beside me all changed their expressions. Lu Ziyu was the only legitimate son of the Duke of Lu's mansion, handsome and elegant, destined to inherit the family estate, a coveted bachelor among the noble ladies of the capital. The third young lady of the Ministry of Rights minister twitched her lips. "We did see how anxious Master Lu was just now, as if he cares deeply for Miss Lin." Someone chimed in, "Miss Lin has only been at the Duke's mansion a short while, yet she's already made Master Lu so concerned. She must be extremely clever and charming." Disdain flickered in their eyes. They were all raised in the deep courtyards of noble families. They had all seen distant relatives come to curry favor and climb the social ladder. "Ayao, be careful. I think this Miss Lin is more scheming than she seems. Watch out for her underhanded tricks. She tried to talk to us earlier, good thing we ignored her." In my past life, Lin Qianxue had used the Duke of Lu's mansion's name to insinuate herself into the circle of noble ladies in the capital. Now, I would cut off her ambitions early. "Miss Lu," an elegant male voice came from outside the pavilion. Everyone turned to look and saw a tall, slender young man standing there, his bearing as straight and refined as a bamboo shoot. His clothes were plain, but they could not conceal the noble aura in his features. Jiyu Jingcheng. Once, I had been dazzled by his otherworldly grace, my heart falling for him in an instant, determined to marry this beast with a hidden evil heart. He had been nothing but a down-on-his-luck young man with a modicum of talent. Having passed the imperial examination for the Duran degree, I spent money for him, pulled strings to build his connections, became engaged to him, and helped him gain a foothold in the capital. My maternal grandfather was a 3-generation veteran minister, the Prime Minister of Dayu. Using my grandfather's influence, Jiyu Jingcheng had risen rapidly in the imperial court, his career unimpeded. How many times had he held me in his arms, his voice full of affection. "Ayao, my heart is true and faithful to you. When I make a name for myself, I will repay you 1,000-fold. Ridiculous. His so-called repayment was to falsely accuse my grandfather's family of treason, leaving me to die a brutal death in the wilds. He had long since pledged himself to Lin Qianxue in secret, yet he had used the identity of the Duke's legitimate daughter as a stepping stone for his official career." I frowned, my face darkening with displeasure. "Master Jiyu, this is a gathering of ladies only. What are you doing here?" Jiyu Jingcheng stood unyielding outside the pavilion, his voice as clear as a mountain stream. "I have composed a poem, and wish to present it to Miss Lu as a birthday gift." The young ladies beside me all tittered and slipped away, covering their mouths. I raised an eyebrow, wondering what trick he would play in this life. "If you've written it, bring it here." I signaled my maid Sayue to take the poem scroll, but Jiyu Jingcheng stepped forward, his eyes dark and intense as he stared at me, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Ayao, how could you slander Miss Lin in front of everyone today? You have disappointed me deeply." As expected, just like in my past life. Not a single question, not a single word of inquiry, and he had already convicted me of bullying Lin Qianxue. Time and again, he had forced me to apologize to her, if I refused. He would look at me with that heartbroken, disappointed expression. He never listened to my explanations, he only saw Lin Qianxue's tears. Now, I would not waste my breath explaining. Instead, I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. "What do you think you are, Jiyu Jingcheng? Daring to spout nonsense in front of me?" I snatched the poem scroll, glanced at it casually, then crumpled it into a ball and tossed it into the pond. "With such paltry talent, you do well not to waste your ink." I wouldn't deign to look at this. Jiyu Jingcheng had long been spoiled by my adoration. He had never endured such humiliation at my hands. His fair face flushed bright red, and he ground out the words through clenched teeth. "Lu Yao, you've gone too far, with such conduct. Don't you dare hope I'll ever betroth myself to a woman of your character." Jiyu Jingcheng threatened me with our betrothal. He had probably forgotten that it was only by virtue of my favor that he even had the right to step through the gates of the Duke's mansion today. I turned and shot a glance at the manservants. "Someone, throw this yelping cur out of the Duke's mansion. At once, young lady." Jiyu Jingcheng swiped at the manservant's hands in a rage. "Don't touch me, I'll leave on my own, Lu Yao. Even if you beg me later, I'll never set foot here again." But his frail scholar's body was no match for the manservant's. Several burly men lifted Jiyu Jingcheng up and dragged him toward the back gate. In his haste, one of his boots was torn off, and he was thrown out the door barefoot. My maid Sayue stared in stunned silence. "Miss, you said you had a soft spot for Master Jiyu just a while ago." I picked up my teacup and took a slow sip. "Pass the word down, from now on. Jiyu Jingcheng has no right to step foot in the Duke's mansion ever again." That night, I was summoned to my father's courtyard. As soon as I stepped through the door, a sharp shout rang out, "Kneel at once." I looked up to see my father and mother seated in the upper hall, my elder brother Lu Ziyu standing at their side, his eyes blazing with anger. Beside Lu Ziyu sat Lin Qianxue, still in tears. She had changed into clean clothes and fixed her hair, but the large bump on her forehead and the gash on her face looked ghastly. "Shuai has told me everything. Ayao, you've gone too far in bullying her. If I do not punish you with the family rules today, there's no telling what trouble you'll stir up in the future." Lu Ziyu drew a bamboo disciplinary ruler from his side. Lin Qianxue spoke in a timid, halting voice. "Brother Ziyu, please stop. I'm just an outsider, don't let me come between you and your sister." I stared at the ruler in Lu Ziyu's hand, memories flashing of the scars it had left on my body in my past life. Back then, when I was framed, Lu Ziyu had stood up for Lin Qianxue and punished me in the name of an elder brother before our parents even arrived. He had lashed me with the ruler, saying he would make me learn my lesson well. The more I tried to explain, the harder he struck, until I huddled in the corner, sobbing, my face streaked with tears, and begged for forgiveness. My back had bled profusely from the beatings, and the scars that remained would not fade, no matter how much ointment I applied. He had said he hit me because he was my elder brother, because he cared for me, yet I had seen him speak to Lin Chenxue only in soft, gentle tones, never a harsh word to her. I met Lu Ziyu's gaze calmly. Father and mother are here. Since when is it an elder brother's right to administer family punishment? Could it be you're too eager to become the master of this duke's mansion? Panic flashed across Lu Ziyu's face, and he darted a quick look at our father. Ayao, stop your nonsense. Mother beckoned me close. Ayao, what really happened today? I threw myself into her arms at once, tears pouring forth like a broken dam. Mother, you have no idea. Ever since Shuer came to the mansion, brother has stopped loving me. The South China Sea pearl he got last month, the jade bracelet you gave him, he gave them all to Shuer. Anyone who didn't know better would think she was his real sister. I twisted my head to look at our stern-faced father. Father, isn't that true? Father's expression stiffened at my last words. Ayao, don't speak foolishly. Ziyu has only you and Wana as his sisters, and he has always loved you both dearly. I had a younger sister, Lu Wn, only 5 years old this year, innocent and lovely, poor thing in my past life. She was framed by Lin Chenxue at the age of 9, sold to a brothel, and abused to death. Afterward, Lin Chenxue even pinned the crime on me. I clenched my fists tightly and said to father, then he must want to marry Shuer as his wife, otherwise, why would he refuse to listen to a word I say and only take her side? Father's face turned an ugly shade of dark, a glint of suspicion entered mother's eyes as she looked at Lin Chenxue. Ziyu, you did not even ask Yao what happened today. How could you condemn her based solely on Miss Lin's words? Lu Ziyu was lost for words. Lin Chenxue dropped to her knees at once, kowtowing in a panic. Uncle, aunt, I know my place. I have always kept to my station and never harbored the slightest improper thought toward brother Ziyu. I wiped away my tears and turned to her in feigned surprise. If you keep to your station, then why does brother keep giving you gifts? Why do you always run to him to tattle? Is it you who clings to him? Or he who clings to you? Lu Ziyu's face paled and flushed by turns when he heard Lin Chenxue say she had no improper thoughts, but he forced himself to stand his ground. Ayao, you are in the wrong, and that is that. Stop smearing my relationship with Shuer. I still leaned in mother's arms, acting coquettishly. Mother, look how he still defends her. Brother never sets foot in my courtyard, yet he's been going to Shuer's constantly these days. Does this relationship even need smearing? That's enough. No more talking. Father slammed his fist on the table and stood up. I knew father had taken Lin Chenxue in to give her a proper identity, so she could marry well in a few years, but that did not mean he would stand by and watch his son and his illegitimate daughter commit an act against morality. Father cut off our argument. All of you, return to your courtyards and reflect on your mistakes. Ziyu, come to my study tonight. Lu Ziyu obeyed father's order and went to the study that night. No one knew what was said between them, but Lu Ziyu fell gravely ill as soon as he left the study. He lay in bed for more than half a month. His spirits broken. Everyone thought Lu Ziyu had been scolded too severely by father, but I knew the truth. He had almost certainly learned Lin Chenxue's real identity from father, and it had broken his heart. In my past life, Lu Ziyu had also fallen seriously ill when he found out Lin Chenxue was his blood sister, but after he recovered, his resolve to protect her only grew stronger. He had said, Shuer is innocent, she deserves all the best things in the world. He had wanted to snatch everything from me and lay it at Lin Chenxue's feet, but in this life, I would not let him recover. Mother was consumed with worry over Lu Ziyu's illness, and father was furious at his eldest son's inappropriate involvement with his illegitimate daughter. They dismissed the conflict between Lin Chenxue and me as nothing more than a petty quarrel between young girls, and had no time to spare for it. Lu Ziyu lay bedridden, cut off from all news of the outside world. In the following month, I truly began to bully Lin Chenxue. Just as she had falsely accused me of doing, she always put on that pitiful, delicate act, making others think she lived a miserable life as a dependent in the Duke's mansion, as if mother mistreated her. Yet mother gave her a generous monthly allowance, and never once let her lack for clothes or jewelry. She lived a life of luxury in the mansion, far better than many legitimate young ladies of minor official families. This time, I made every one of her false accusations a reality. She had falsely accused me of tearing her clothes, stealing her jewelry, and beating her maid, so I led my servants to her courtyard, slashed all her clothes to rags, smashed her jewelry to pieces, and drove China, her maid, out of the mansion for good. She had complained to others that I forbade the kitchen from giving her food and charcoal, leaving her to starve and freeze, so I locked her in the firewood shed, denied her all food and drink, let her grow dizzy with hunger, and watch her fight with the shed dog for scraps. Lin Qianxue could take it no more. She knelt and begged me through her tears. "Ayao, I'm sorry, I'll never dare again. What do I have to do for you to spare me?" I looked down at her from above, my gaze cold. "You make me sick to look at. Should I slash your face to ruin it, or drive you out of the Duke's mansion for good?" Lin Qianxue flinched. Neither option was one she would choose. Lin Qianxue could not enter Lu Ziyu's courtyard, and did not dare to trouble father. In the end, she went to beg mother for mercy. She made a show of trying to take her own life in front of mother, begging her to save her. That night, mother came to talk to me. "Ayao, even if you do not like Miss Lin, do not go too far in your actions." I took mother's hand in mine. "Mother, after what happened at the birthday feast, Lin Qianxue has no right to stay in this mansion any longer. Why not send her away to live in another house?" A flicker of doubt crossed mother's brows. "By rights, that is what we should do. But your father will not agree. He says it would be a betrayal of his late cousin." The world praised mother for marrying a devoted husband, one who had no other concubines in his inner quarters save for a few old maids from his youth. He had promised mother that she would be his only woman for the rest of his life, and that was why she had married him. But father had only ever cared for mother's family status. In my past life, when my maternal grandfather was falsely accused of treason and died a wrongful death, father confined the now powerless mother to the mansion and brought Lin Qianxue's mother, Lin Yanji, in to manage the household. Lin Yanji had swaggered in front of mother, seized her dowry, and sneered that mother had been a fool all these years, kept in the dark, grieving her father's death and shattered by the betrayal of her husband. Mother had fallen gravely ill and suffered a stroke, bedridden for life. The memory of mother lying in bed, unable to speak, her eyes empty and dull, gnawed at my heart like 1,000 ants. "Mother, speaking of this, I've had someone follow China, the maid we drove out of the mansion with Lin Qianxue. I thought she would return to her hometown, but instead I saw her go to work for a family in Yong'anfang, and what's more," mother's expression sharpened with alertness, "what's more, I hugged her tightly. I saw father go to that house twice. No one knows what kind of family it is." The smile faded from mother's face, and she brushed a hand over my cheek. "Ayao, go rest well. Mother and your grandfather's family will look into this." More than half a month had passed since the birthday feast. One day, as I was leaving the mansion, I was stopped by Jiyu Jingcheng, who had been waiting at the gate. Jiyu Jingcheng looked thinner, and the arrogance that had always marked his dealings with me was gone from his face. I had heard he had come to the Duke's mansion several times in the past half-month, but the gate boys had turned him away every time, following my orders to the letter. The social circle of the capital was a small one. When word spread that Jiyu Jingcheng had fallen out of my favor, everyone's attitude toward him changed at once. Shops that had once paid top price for Jiyu Jingcheng's calligraphy and paintings now waved him away without even a glance at the scrolls he brought. The young noblemen who had once drunk wine and composed poems with him no longer invited him to their small gatherings. At this point, he had no one left to turn to but me. "Ayao," Jiyu Jingcheng stared deeply into my eyes. "Have you been well these days?" I ran a finger over the bright moon earrings at my earlobes, my cheeks flushed with health. "Naturally, I have been far better off than you." Jiyu Jingcheng's face was haggard, his voice dry and hoarse. "Ayao, it's my fault. These past few days, I have truly ached for you like mad. My impulsiveness before, it was only because I love you so deeply." Guilt and regret washed over his face, his eyes brimming with hurt. I feigned a look of sudden realization. "So that's it, you quarreled with me. You took Lin Chenshua's side, all of it was just because you care too much about me. Jiyu Jingcheng nodded firmly. Yao, give me one more chance, I will treat you with all my heart. Oh, I lifted my tone. And how exactly will you do that? At the hint of softening in my voice. Obvious joy spread across Jiyu Jingcheng's face. Yao, you love horse riding, do you not? Shall we go riding together the day after tomorrow? As soon as the words left his mouth, I let out a cold laugh. Horse riding. So this was his ploy. It had long been a custom in Dayu to hold a spring festival sacrifice to the flower fairy every 3 years. The empress herself would preside over a talent competition, selecting eligible noble young ladies from the capital to play the roles of the flower fairies. One fairy was chosen for each of the 5 talents: qin, chess, calligraphy, painting, and dance. All noble young ladies in the capital coveted the title of a flower fairy. To be selected brought not only imperial gifts, but also instant fame for one's talent throughout the capital. I had been skilled in dance since childhood. Mother had hired the famous Master Gong's son to teach me, and by the age of 12, my dancing was unrivaled, without incident. I would have surely been chosen as the dance fairy this year, but in my past life, incident struck. The day before the selection competition, Jiyu Jingcheng came to me, asking to take me horse riding. He had always claimed his studies left him no time for such things, so when he took the initiative, I agreed without a second thought. Little did I know, the horse at the stable had suddenly gone mad, completely out of control. I fell from the horse's back, breaking my left foot. I could no longer dance, and missed the talent competition entirely. And Lin Chenxue, she rose to prominence with a single dance at the competition. Handpicked by the Empress to be the dance fairy for that year's spring festival sacrifice, with the Empress's personal endorsement, Lin Chenxue finally secured a place in the circle of noble ladies in the capital. As for me, I lay at home recovering from my foot injury, grief-stricken at the thought of never dancing again. Jiyu Jingcheng had been extremely gentle with me during that time. Yao, do you know, I am truly glad you do not have to expose yourself at the spring festival sacrifice. None of those flower fairies hold a candle to you. I had seen the clear smile in his eyes, a look of pure delight he rarely wore. Warmth had bloomed in my heart, thinking it was only because he cared for me so deeply. Later, I learned the truth. He had drugged the horse beforehand, causing me to injure myself and lose the ability to dance. He had traded the greatest regret of my life for Lin Chenxue's moment of glory. Every trace of joy, every smile he had shown by my sickbed, had been for someone else. I never thought that in this life, even when his own affairs were in shambles, Jiyu Jingcheng would still be plotting to help Lin Chenxue seize this opportunity. Very well, let us go horse riding then. I curled the corner of my lips into a smile. On the agreed day of the horse ride, I changed into Hu-style riding clothes, fit for archery and galloping. Before leaving the Duke's mansion, a servant came to fetch me, saying Lu Ziyu wished to speak with me. I twirled the horsewhip around my hand. What a coincidence! I was just on my way to see my brother. Lu Ziyu lay listlessly in bed, the heavy stench of medicinal herbs clinging to the room, refusing to fade. For nearly a month, he had drunk his medicine every day. Yet his illness had not improved. In fact, it had only grown worse. Father had grown desperate, even summoning the imperial physician from the palace to treat him. But to no avail. Lu Ziyu often sat staring at a pot of orchid grass, muttering to himself as if in a trance. That pot of orchids had been a gift from Lin Chenxue, and he cherished it more than anything, pouring all his repressed affection for her into the delicate plant. Yao, you're here. Lu Ziyu's spirit was low, a thick haze clouding his eyes as he looked at me. Yao, stop practicing your dance these days. Let Master Gong's son go teach Shuer instead. Master Gong's son, the famous dance instructor Mother had hired for me, had once performed for the late emperor in the palace. Her skill in dance was unrivaled in the land. She had agreed to teach me for 2 reasons. First, my natural talent, and second, the debt of gratitude she owed my maternal grandfather. I truly underestimated Lin Chenxue. She actually found a way to send word to you, begging you to find her a teacher. My gaze flicked to the orchid grass by Lu Ziyu's bedside. It was no wonder the imperial physician could find nothing wrong with him. I had buried a hallucinogenic drug in the soil of that orchid pot. As long as Lu Ziyu stayed close to it every day, his spirit would never recover. A deep furrow formed between Lu Ziyu's brows. Yao, you have been taught by a famous master since childhood. What harm is there in letting Shuer have a few days of her teaching? You are grown now, you must not be so narrow-minded. Narrow-minded, I nodded slowly. Very well, I will go break Lin Qianshua's legs right now, and show you what true narrow-mindedness is. How dare you, if you lay so much as a finger on her. I swear I will disown you as my sister. Lu Ziyu forced himself up from the bed, staggering toward me, his eyes blazing with malice. He raised his hand to strike me, but I lashed out with the whip in my hand, striking him back. Crack. A bright red welt stood out clearly at the open collar of Lu Ziyu's robe. Lu Ziyu, when you raised your hand to hit me, did you ever acknowledge our bond as brother and sister? A sharp pain shot through my heart, and I raised my hand, slashing the whip across his body once more. Beads of blood burst forth from the split flesh, vying to spill out. Weak from his long illness, Lu Ziyu had no strength to defend himself. He crumpled to the ground under the force of the whip, clutching his wound. He gasped for breath. Lu Yao, you're insane. I am your elder brother. I, Lu Yao, have no elder brother. I turned and left, the whip in my hand dripping with blood. I meant every word. In my final moments in my past life, I had asked Lu Ziyu, my voice filled with bitter resentment, how can you treat me like this? How will you face mother? Lu Ziyu had let out a sneering laugh, and spat out these words, she is your mother. In these days since my rebirth, I had thought back to how, after Lin Yanji entered the Duke's mansion, she had made my life a living hell, yet smiled sweetly at Lu Ziyu. A terrible suspicion about Lu Ziyu's parentage had taken root in my heart. That was why, after I had learned Qina's whereabouts, I had told mother at once. With the power of my maternal grandfather's family behind her, following this clue would surely uncover the whole truth. Clad in my Hu-style riding clothes, I arrived at the outer city stable, to find Jiyu Jingcheng waiting for me. Already there for some time, gone was the abject misery of the past few days. He had dressed himself up specially, his hair tied back with a jade crown, a fine brocade robe draped over his body, and an exquisite green jade pendant hanging at his waist. I recognized that jade pendant in an instant. It was a gift I had given him once. Now, it made my eyes sting to look at it. Yao, you're here. Jiyu Jingcheng's eyes lit up, and he led a horse toward me. Yao, I picked a fine horse for you. She's perfect for you. He held the reins of a pure white mare, looking as gentle as a lamb. Sayue, standing beside me, let out a soft exclamation. Miss, what a beautiful horse. Only I knew how terrifying this horse could be when it went mad. I led a black stallion out of the stable as well. Since Master Jiyu has picked a horse for me, I shall pick one for Master Jiyu in return. Jiyu Jingcheng glanced at the tall black stallion, then back at the brown horse he had chosen for himself. He hesitated for a moment, then smiled. Very well, thank you for your kindness. Yao, Jiyu Jingcheng stepped forward thoughtfully to help me mount the white mare, and his eyes fell on the bloodstains congealed on the whip in my hand. Unbidden, the smile on his face faded by half. Yao, are you injured? Where did the blood on your whip come from? I looked at him, my lips curving into a half smile. Someone in the mansion was being disobedient, so I taught them a lesson. Can you guess who it was? Before Jiyu Jingcheng could react, I squeezed the horse's flanks with my legs and galloped forward. Jiyu Jingcheng, catch up to me, and I'll tell you, it was not long before Jiyu Jingcheng caught up, riding the black stallion. Yao, who was it? Did you quarrel with Miss Lin again? I turned my head and smiled brightly. I did. She actually dared to compete with me for the title of Dance Fairy, so I crippled her legs. Do you think I did the right thing? Jiyu Jingcheng's expression twisted. The hatred in his eyes barely contained. At that exact moment, the black stallion beneath him let out a fierce neigh. Neigh. The stallion reared up, bucking wildly, completely out of control. Whoa, whoa. Jiyu Jingcheng broke out in a cold sweat, yanking the reins with all his strength. But a mad horse could not be tamed so easily. Jiyu Jingcheng was dragged several li by the raging stallion, then thrown violently from its back. I rode the gentle white mare over to him at a leisurely pace. Looking down at the man curled on the ground in agony, Jiyu Jingcheng convulsed with pain, and his peripheral vision caught sight of the white mare grazing calmly nearby. Surprise flashed in his eyes. I urged the horse forward, stepping on Jiyu Jingcheng's leg, my voice soft and sweet. Jiyu Jingcheng, did you really think you were the only one who knew how to play dirty tricks? Jiyu Jingcheng could not reply. His face turned deathly pale, and he fainted from the pain. I ordered my servants to carry Jiyu Jingcheng back, telling them to find a random local physician on the way. The physician stroked his beard, shaking his head in regret. I'm afraid this young master's left leg is ruined. Even if we set the bone, he may never walk like a normal man again. Good. I nodded indifferently, tearing the jade pendant from Jiyu Jingcheng's waist and pressing it into the physician's hand as payment. By the laws of this dynasty, those with disabilities of the four limbs were forbidden from holding official office. Jiyu Jingcheng, you will never set foot in the imperial court for the rest of your life. When I returned to the duke's mansion, the entire household was in an uproar. My maternal grandfather and uncles had all come, and mother and father were locked in a fierce confrontation in the main hall. Kneeling on the floor of the hall were Lin Yanji and Lin Qianxue, their faces white with panic. Lu Shifang, what promise did you make to me when I married you? All these years, you have been keeping a mistress in secret. Mother's face was flushed with rage and grief, her legs nearly giving way beneath her. I hurried forward to support her. Mother, what is the matter? Who is father's mistress? Tears spilled from mother's eyes as she pointed at the mother and daughter kneeling on the ground. Look at the good your father has done. Let him say it to my face, if he has the courage. Father's face burned with shame, a mix of guilt and resentment in his eyes. Lana, I have treated you with the utmost tenderness all these years. Lin was a mistake I made in my youth, a moment of foolishness. You are the only one I have ever loved with all my heart. Lin Yanji pulled Lin Qianxue down to kowtow to mother, her voice desperate. Please spare our mother and daughter, madam. We will keep to our station and never overstep again. I glanced at the trembling of Lin Qianxue's shoulders. If you truly meant to keep to your station, why would you hide behind a false identity and live in the duke's mansion? Ought you not to have stayed far away? Lin Qianxue looked up. Shooting me a resentful glare, Lin Yanji burst into loud sobs, pulling Lin Qianxue into her arms. The duke has not come to see us in a long time. The child ached to see her birth father, so I begged his grace to let Shui enter the mansion. Madam, all the blame is mine alone. Please do not implicate others. Lin Yanji was over 30, yet there lingered a soft, southern grace in her brows and eyes. When she frowned and wept, she was quite captivating. Judging by her well-preserved appearance, she had lived a comfortable life these past years. Father also lowered his stance, his voice pleading, Lana, this was a moment of foolishness from my youth. Forgive me this once, and I will hide nothing from you ever again. A moment of foolishness. My maternal uncle let out a cold snort. Lu Shifang, was it also a moment of foolishness that you passed off your mistress's son as my sister's own? The words hung in the air, and the mother and daughter on their knees jolted violently. Father feigned astonishment. What do you mean, elder brother? Lana and I have only one legitimate son. Ziyu, when have we ever had another? My uncle's gaze turned sharp and cold. We have investigated everything to the very end. Lu Ziyu is not my sister's biological son at all. When my sister suffered a difficult labor all those years ago and gave birth to a stillborn child, you seized the chance to bring in your mistress's son and pass him off as your own. If you still dare to deny it, we will produce all the witnesses and evidence, and summon the clan elders of both our families to bear witness. My maternal grandfather's family had uncovered every detail, laying out the truth of that day with perfect clarity. Father's face stiffened, and he could not utter a single word. Watching father's silent acquiescence, mother's heart shattered completely, and she turned her head away in despair. Father, is what uncle said true? Lu Ziyu's weak voice drifted in from the door. His clothes were still stained with the blood from the whiplashes I had left, his face ashen white. I saw he had not even changed his robes. He had clearly come to tattle, to show everyone the crime of a younger sister flogging her elder brother. But he had been supported by a servant to the door. and had heard the truth of his parentage right there. He was no legitimate son. Not even a concubine's son, merely the child of a mistress. The pride and calm that had always clung to his face crumbled inch by inch in the face of father's silence. "Father, mother," Lu Ziyu's voice trembled. No one in the hall paid him any heed, save for Lin Yanji, whose eyes of pity flickered across his wounds. Father turned to mother, his face full of guilt. "Lana, I was out of my mind then. I feared the grief of losing your child would break you, so I resorted to this desperate plan." Mother let out a bitter, broken laugh, a laugh that twisted my heart with ache. "Lu Shifang, we have been husband and wife for 20 years. I thought we loved each other with all our hearts, but all these years you have deceived me, hidden the truth from me, and betrayed every vow of marriage I hold dear. We are divorced." Father's eyes filled with agony. "Lana, you know how many years we have shared. Surely you do not mean to cast aside all our love like this." My maternal grandfather, who had stood silent by the side, finally spoke, his voice heavy. "Lu Shifang, the Shu family will no longer be in-laws with the Lu family." Though advanced in years, my grandfather was still hale and hearty, his eyes sharp as a blade. He had navigated the treacherous waters of the imperial court for decades. Once he spoke a word, there was no turning back. Father turned to me then, his last hope. "Ayao, persuade your mother. Can you bear to see our family torn apart like this?" My eyes reddened, and I nodded repeatedly, then turned to mother and said, "If mother divorces him, you must take Wana and me with you. Wherever mother goes, we go too." Father was so enraged he nearly collapsed. "Lu Yao, if you dare step out that door today, you will no longer be my daughter." Lu Shifang's blood. I pointed at Lin Qianxue, still on her knees. "I am not." "Then she is. Is that it?" A cold chill rose in my eyes. In my past life, Lin Qianxue's slanders, Lu Ziyu's false accusations, Lin Yanji's evil deeds, none of it would have been possible without father's silent acquiescence and indifference. He had never truly loved me, his daughter. The divorce of the Duke and Duchess of Lu, once a couple beloved by all, became the talk of the capital, a favorite topic of idle gossip. As word spread, people learned the truth. Duke Lu Shifang had not only kept a mistress, but had committed the unforgivable sin of swapping his newborn son with a mistress's child, passing the latter off as his legitimate heir. Countless noble clans shook their heads in condemnation. The former was a failing of character, this latter, a violation of the most sacred taboos of the aristocracy. When the members of the Duke of Lu's mansion stepped out into the street, they were met with pointing fingers and whispered scorn. Mother and I took up residence in a manor next to my grandfather's estate, a manor that had been part of mother's dowry from the start. Father sent messengers to beg us to return time and again, but each time they were driven away by the servants my grandfather had stationed there. I had no time for their pleas, my every thought fixed on practicing dance under Master Gongsuan's guidance. This life, the title of dance fairy, I would fight for it with all my might. For myself alone, the Empress held the talent competition in the palace, and Lin Qianxue attended too. This time under the identity of a concubine's daughter of the Duke of Lu's mansion. With mother and me gone from the mansion, Lin Yanji had moved in openly and without shame, but her identity was tainted, and just as in my past life, Lu Shifang could never make her the official Duchess of Lu. At best, she could be a concubine. Her children, too, would only ever be the illegitimate sons and daughters of the mansion. "Sister, please do not be angry with mother and father any longer. Brother and I both long for you to come home." Lin Qianxue wore a flowing pearl-embroidered robe, her figure slender and graceful as she glided over to me and curtsied. The other noble young ladies at the competition all turned to stare, even the palace eunuchs stealing glances in our direction. The sordid scandals of the Duke of Lu's mansion had spread to every corner of the capital. I looked into the calculating glint in Lin Qianxue's eyes, brushing away the hand she tried to place on my arm. "It is not mother and me you long for, but mother's dowry." I pierced through the mansion's desperate predicament without the slightest mercy. The title of Duke of Lu had passed to Lu Shifang, and the family's wealth was dwindling, their influence in the court all but gone. The mansion was already in decline. That was why Lu Shifang had fought so hard to marry the Prime Minister's daughter all those years ago. Now that mother had divorced him, taking with her the Prime Minister's family connections and her vast dowry, the Duke of Lu's mansion was a shadow of its former self. If you have no silver left, do not come begging to me, and do not presume to call me your sister. I have only Wana for a sister. I had no patience left for empty pleasantries with Lin Qianxue. Lin Qianxue's face flushed red, then paled white, and she tried to put on her usual frail, tearful act, but I turned and walked away, and the onlookers lost all interest in her at once. Her pitiful acting was far too clumsy for the palace. At the talent competition, I danced the peony dance and stunned the entire hall. Master Gongsun was there too, sitting in the audience, her eyes glistening with tears. The peony dance was a piece Master Gongsun had created years before. I had inherited it, and added my own subtle revisions. In my past life, I had never gotten the chance to show the world the beauty of this dance. Now, I would make everyone see the blood, sweat, and tears Master Gongsun and I had poured into it. This dance is exquisite. The Empress praised me, her voice warm with approval. A Yao's movements are as light and graceful as a fairy's. I was named the dance fairy for this year's spring festival sacrifice on the spot. No one in the hall dared to object. Princess Ningyue sought me out personally, asking if I would teach her to dance. It was an honor I would never refuse. On the other side of the hall, Lin Qianxue still stepped forward to dance, desperate to show off her talent. I would not deny it, her dancing was not bad. Without me here, she would have surely taken first place. The Empress watched her dance, then glanced at me, and smiled. Miss Lin dances well, only a pity, the pearl stands before the fish eye. Before the Empress's words even faded, Lin Qianxue's face turned deathly pale. I knew those words had struck her two deepest wounds. The Empress still called her Miss Lin, refusing to acknowledge her as a member of the Lu family. To say the pearl stands before the fisheye was to tell the entire hall, plain and clear, that she was nothing compared to me. When the talent competition ended and the guests filed out of the palace, Lin Qianxue, her patience frayed to the breaking point, stepped in my way. This time, there were no onlookers. She cast aside her frail act, her eyes blazing with hatred and jealousy, sharp as needles. Lu Yao, we are both father's daughters. You have been given everything, why will you not give me even a little? I let out a cold laugh. Because you are not worthy. In my past life, I pitied her. I let her have her way, and all it earned me was her insatiable greed. For someone like Lin Qianxue, kindness is nothing but a seed for disaster. As Lin Qianxue turned to leave, I ordered my servants to block her path. Wait. You forgot something. Lin Qianxue looked confused, then let out a shrill scream. I tore the pearls from her robe and threw them into the gutter, smashed the jade hairpin on her head, and slapped her hard twice across the face. She lunged at me, wild with rage, but my servants held her back at once. I drank in the sight of her, disheveled and bitter as a scorned woman, and a genuine smile spread across my face. There, now you may go back and tattle. Tell them I bullied you. The spring festival sacrifice was held in great splendor, a resounding success. The 5 flower fairies chosen by the Empress became famous throughout the capital, known to nearly every soul. The people of the capital would long remember the sight of us dancing at the sacrifice, our figures light as fluttering fairies. Matchmakers came to our door every single day, their footsteps endless, begging to propose marriage on behalf of their lords. Tsayue teased me, laughing. The threshold of our manor will soon be worn thin by all the matchmakers' feet. It was at this time that Jiyu Jingcheng, his leg lame and his walker limp, came to find me once more. He had clearly watched and waited for a long time, finally tracking me down to an opera house I frequented, a Yao. As soon as Jiyu Jingcheng stepped into my private box, he dropped to his knees before me. A Yao, have you truly fallen out of love with me? Do you truly not want me anymore? He had wasted away to a shadow of his former self, his cheekbones protruding sharply, his back no longer straight and proud. He looked like a broken man, cast aside and heartbroken. I sat on a carved wooden chair, looking down at him with cold disdain. Jiyu Jingcheng, when you plotted with Lin Qianxue to break my leg, did you ever imagine this day would come? Jiyu Jingcheng's eyes widened in shock. You knew. I poured a cup of clear tea into a porcelain cup, my voice calm and cold. Yes. I know you and Lin Qianxue have been secret lovers for a long time. The sight of you putting on this pathetic act before me makes me sick." Jiyu Jingqing's face turned ashen, and he stammered out his excuses. "Yao, it is not what you think." He rambled on, saying he and Lin Qianxue had known each other since childhood, that she had helped him when he was at his poorest and most desperate, and that he had kept her in his heart out of gratitude for that kindness. I laughed then, a loud, unrestrained laugh, as if I had just heard the funniest joke in the world. I wiped the tears of laughter from the corners of my eyes, my voice sharp with mockery. "Jiyu Jingcheng, did I not help you when you were desperate, when you had not a single coin to your name, when the noble sons mocked and humiliated you, when no one recognized your talent, who stood by your side and lifted you up? Is this how you repay my kindness? With betrayal?" Jiyu Jingcheng crawled 2 steps forward on his knees, his eyes bloodshot. "Yao, you've helped me so much already. Just help me one more time. Please, my official career can't end like this. You have to help me, you must have a way. I'll betroth myself to you right now. I'll never again." Crash, the teacup in my hand tipped over, scalding tea pouring down over Jiyu Jingcheng's head. Drenched like a drowned dog, Jiyu Jingcheng froze in place, stunned. I set the empty teacup down with an elegant gesture. "Jiyu Jingcheng, you have no more chances. Neither you nor Lin Qianxue will live to see another day." After that day at the opera house, I did not step foot outside for days on end. Each day, I stayed within the manor, reading, painting, and practicing dance in its various courtyards. It was not until Princess Ningyue sent a secret messenger to ask for a meeting that I finally left the house. Princess Ningyue had disguised herself as a young boy, and together we went to a music house in the capital to listen to ballads and watch dances. We shared the same tastes and talked endlessly, getting on like old friends. Halfway through our conversation, 2 young servants came in with tea, closed the door behind them, and drew daggers from their sleeves, attacking us from both sides at once. I stepped in front of the pale, terrified Princess Ningyue and shouted, "Assassins, protect the princess!" In an instant, dozens of hidden guards burst through the door, and the room erupted into the clash of blades. One assassin, dying, threw a dagger at me, slashing my arm open. The other was captured alive and handed over to the Dali temple for harsh interrogation. Princess Ningyue cried, her voice filled with worry for my bleeding arm. "Yao, your hand." I stroked her cheek gently, my voice soft with apology. "Your Highness, it is only a small wound." I knew the assassins had not come for Princess Ningyue. Their target had been me all along. Jiyu Jingcheng and the others would never let this rest. They would stop at nothing to kill me. And this was the chance I had been waiting for, the chance to destroy them once and for all. The guards sent the captured assassin to the Dali temple, where the officials interrogated him through the night, finally forcing him to name his masters, Lu Ziyu, Jiyu Jingcheng, and Lin Qianxue. Not one of them escaped justice. Assassinating a member of the imperial family was a capital crime, punishable by beheading under the laws of Dayu. Lu Ziyu screamed that he was innocent, that he had had no idea Princess Ningyue would be there that day, but the fact that the assassins had raised their blades against the princess was seen by all. Lu Shifang used his title as Duke of Lu to beg for his son's life, sparing Lu Ziyu the blade. The Lu family was stripped of their noble title. Lu Ziyu and Lin Qianxue were exiled to the borderlands, and Jiyu Jingcheng was sentenced to be beheaded. On the day Lu Ziyu and Lin Qianxue were sent into exile, I went to the city gate to watch. Lin Qianxue, her ankles in iron shackles, her face filthy with grime, screamed and wailed, I won't go to those hellish places, father. Beg the emperor to spare us, it was all Jiyu Jingcheng's idea. It has nothing to do with us. I won't go. A prison guard slapped her hard to the ground, his voice a harsh bark. Shut up. You do not get to choose. Lu Ziyu stood silent by her side. He had never fully recovered from his illness, and the repeated torture of prison had left his body broken and weak. He was gaunt and sallow, a shadow of his former self. No one would have recognized the once handsome young nobleman. When Lu Ziyu saw me, he suddenly lunged at me, his eyes bloodshot with rage. Lu Yao, are you satisfied now? The prison guards dragged him back and beat him mercilessly with their fists and boots. Lin Yanji and Lu Shifang rushed forward, their faces filled with heartbreak, to pull the guards away only to be kicked aside and knocked to the ground. I watched Lu Ziyu, his face black and blue from the beating, and shook my head. No, you are still alive, how could I ever be satisfied? A few days later, it was Jiyu Jingqing's turn to be executed. I sat in a tea house nearby, the execution ground clearly visible through the window. Jiyu Jingcheng, his clothes tattered and ragged, was dragged onto the execution platform, his body slumping in utter despair, as if only half a life remained in him. The hour of execution has come, strike. The executioner raised his massive broadsword, its blade glinting with a cold, deadly light. Jiyu Jingcheng suddenly lifted his head and looked in my direction. Our eyes met across the distance. His mouth opened, as if he wanted to say something, to beg for mercy, but before a single word could escape his lips, the blade fell. Tsayue, standing beside me, clapped her hands over her eyes, terrified. I stared at the pool of blood and the mangled mess on the ground, memories flashing of my own death, of bleeding out in the dirt and the pain that had torn through me. Jiyu Jingcheng. You died without a single last word. It must have been agony, watching you leave this world in such pain and despair. Now I can finally rest easy. On my way back to the manor, I saw a man with a ragged beard and matted hair kneeling at the gate. He muttered over and over, his voice hoarse, "Lana, Lana." Tsayue leaned into my ear, her voice filled with disbelief. "Miss, that looks like the former Duke of Lu. Pay him no mind. Let us go." I lifted my foot and stepped through the gate. Ordering the gate guards to drive Lu Shifang away, my younger sister Wana ran over, her small hand clutching the hem of her skirt, and looked up at me with big eyes. "Elder sister, why can't we let father come in?" I knelt down and stroked Wana's soft, round bun. "Wana, not all fathers deserve to be called father. He hurt mother. He is not worthy to be our father anymore." Lu Shifang had never cared much for Wana, and the young girl felt little affection for him. Wana nodded. Half understanding, anyone who hurts mother is a bad person. I don't want a bad person to be my father. Stripped of his title and reduced to a commoner, Lu Shifang was driven out of his former mansion, forced to live with Lin Yanji in the filth and squalor of the lowest slums of the capital. He came to mother's manor gate many times, kneeling and weeping, begging her to take him back. Mother did not even spare him a single glance. Lu Shifang tried a different tactic then. He beat Lin Yanji black and blue, dragging her to our gate. "Lana, I'll sell this whore tomorrow. It's all her fault. She'll never come near us again. Lana, Ayao, Wana, let our family start over. Together." Lu Shifang, "You heartless beast." Lin Yanji's fragile facade shattered completely. She latched onto Lu Shifang, biting and scratching him, screaming as if she meant to take him down with her. The two of them fought at the gate, their heads blooded. A pitiful and ugly sight for all to see. My maternal uncle had had enough. He reported them to the authorities for disturbing the peace, and the constables came to arrest them. Lin Yanji and Lu Shifang were thrown in prison for a few days. When they were finally released, word came that Lu Ziyu and Lin Qianxue had been set upon by bandits on the road to exile, their bodies never found, torn to shreds by the thieves. Lu Shifang collapsed in shock, spitting up blood. When he woke, he had suffered a stroke, left bedridden and unable to move a muscle. Lin Yanji, upon hearing the news, went mad. She roamed the streets, grabbing every young boy and girl she saw, screaming Shui and Ziyu. When Tsayue told me all this, I felt not the slightest hint of surprise, because I had watched them die with my own eyes. Those bandits had been paid well for their work, and they had done it cleanly. Princess Ningyue came to see me, her face bright with joy, saying she had wonderful news. The Empress had bestowed a marriage upon me to the heir of the Marquis of Zhenyuan. The young Marquis was brave and handsome, the object of admiration for every noble young lady in the capital. Countless people envied me for such a splendid match. The Marquis of Zhenyuan's household was impeccable in every way. When they sent the betrothal gifts, they arrived in a grand procession of 48 red carriages, a sight to behold. The Marchioness of Zhenyuan praised me repeatedly, saying I was beautiful inside and out. Not a single word of reproach passing her lips for my father's crimes. The wedding date was set for 2 years later, when I would be 17 years old, the very same age I had been when I married in my past life. The young Marquis had bright eyes and white teeth, and a straightforward, honest nature. He went out of his way to make me happy, to make me laugh. He said to me once, "Ayao, you do not seem truly happy." I curved my lips into a smile. "My lord, I am smiling all the time." "No, Ayao, you are not smiling." His long, slender fingers brushed the furrow between my brows. The smile faded from my eyes. Having been reborn, I knew the fickleness of the human heart all too well. I could live with him in polite harmony, I could manage his household with skill, but to marry a man is not to give him one's heart. I would never again be like the other young girls of my age, naive and full of adoration for someone. Life may be lived again, but 17 years old comes only once. My 17 years old died in the bandit-ridden wilds. Life is long, and I have all the splendor and wealth one could wish for, but my youth is gone, never to return.